They say time heals all wounds. But time, in my hands, became a scalpel. 10 years. That's how long I let him lie beside me with lips that kissed another, hands that told stories I never heard. I wasn't sleeping. I was sharpening. Hi everyone, welcome to Revenge Echo. Let's get started. They say a marriage dies in silence. Mine drowned in it. 10 years of brushing teeth in tandem, of synchronized coffee mugs and joint tax returns, and still, I was invisible the night I discovered him. Truly saw him. The email subject line, just us, no more hiding. His lover, a carbon copy of someone I used to be. Younger, dumber, more pliable. I didn't scream. I didn't even cry. Instead, I downloaded every damn message, labeled them Final Exhibit A, and smiled when Liam walked into the kitchen like nothing had snapped. He poured me wine. I handed him his death sentence, invisible ink and a silent toast. That night, I became someone else, the kind of woman who orchestrates slow, surgical revenge. I didn't plan it in a blaze. It came to me in layers, each one crueler than the last. A whisper of vengeance that grew louder every time I watched him lie and laugh and touch me with hands that had been on her. It was our 10th anniversary. The tin one. Fitting, really, cold, forgettable, disposable. Like the woman he thought I was. We were textbook, college sweethearts turned suburban entrepreneurs. Our house outside Portland had a gray door and a picket fence, like a funeral in progress. I kept the books for our graphic design firm. Liam did the charm offensive. Clients loved him. I tolerated him. Somewhere between his business trips and my cold dinners, we stopped being us. He was all silk ties and disappearing acts. I was spreadsheets and slowly unraveling suspicion. Once, I asked if he was cheating. He grinned. Not kindly. That laugh, the kind that stabs through your ribs, was my first wound. But not the last. Our intimacy had become a ghost story. Whispers, creaks, the occasional groan in the night, but nothing solid. I took to sleeping in our guest room under the pretense of migraines. He didn't question it. Didn't notice. Or maybe he was relieved. The firm was faltering too. Behind the flash of Liam's charm were unpaid invoices, neglected clients, debts buried under his ego. I held the seams together while he unraveled them. If Liam had peeled back my skin, he'd have found a woman boiling beneath the surface. I stopped being his wife and became his ghost. I rerouted our clients to my email, opened a new account, my account, redirected payments, laid the foundation for a business built without him. I joined women's circles, brushed shoulders with future investors. I painted on a new persona, shade by calculated shade. Not out of spite, out of necessity. My therapist once asked what I was afraid of. I told her, becoming nothing. She didn't know I was already gone. And piece by piece, I clawed myself back. I read books on war strategy and power dynamics. Studied the history of women who turned their pain into empire. I practiced charm like a second language. Let my rage simmer until it became something sharp and wieldable. I wasn't just planning an exit. I was planning a takeover. Claire was supposed to be a cliché. Instead, she was a mirror. 26, soft-voiced, ambitious. Working in the exact co-working space Liam said smelled like mildew. I introduced myself as Evie Daniels. Told her I was launching a startup. Asked for her marketing insights. Bought her coffee, earned her trust. Week by week, I gathered intel. She talked about Liam sometimes, never by name. Called him L. Told me he was married, but it was complicated. Of course it was. Claire didn't know who I was. But I knew everything. She wasn't evil. Just naive. A lamb dressing herself in fox fur. I didn't hate her. I envied her a little. The blank slate of her belief that love could override deceit. I let her have that illusion for now. I kissed Liam like I meant it. Made love like a woman possessed. I cooked his favorite meals and left love notes in his jacket. I played the role of his perfect wife and watched him sweat. He became erratic. Paranoid. Accused me of cheating. So I left breadcrumbs. A lipstick in the glove box. A text from Andrew that said, "Can't wait for round 2." The receipt for a boutique hotel in Bend. I never went, but he did in his mind. He confronted me once, fists clenched around my phone like it could bleed the truth. I sobbed, told him I'd never betray him. His guilt swallowed him whole. The irony was a sweet, slow burn. He was unraveling in the very theater he built. I was the playwright and lead actress. He was just an extra. There's a moment between the discovery and the decision where your soul feels like it's held over an open flame. You could scream, could throw plates, could burn his clothes in the backyard. But I didn't. I simply stood still and let the fire eat through every illusion I had left. When I filed for divorce that Thursday morning, the woman in the courthouse asked if I was okay. I smiled. That kind of smile that makes people look twice, not because it's warm, but because it's empty. I wasn't okay. I was done. He came home to silence. Not the soft kind. The charged, eerie absence of life. The house was bare, except for the envelope on the counter, neatly labeled Liam. Inside, the USB drive with all the messages between him and Claire, high-res photos from the investigator, and my handwriting, once soft and round, now surgical. You cheated on the wrong woman. He didn't come in the bedroom that night. Didn't sleep, probably. I imagined him on the couch, staring into the dark, hearing every creak in the house he thought he owned. That was the first time I made him feel hunted. But it wasn't enough. I started small. Canceled his credit cards, one by one. He found out at a client dinner, had to excuse himself, flustered, as the waiter hovered. I left enough money in the joint account to humiliate him, not to save him. Enough for a cheap motel and shame. Then, I called in the accountant, quietly, strategically. I had been documenting things for over a year. Every forged signature, every backdoor deal, every time he used company money to impress a girl he would later lie about. The accountant wasn't surprised. Men like Liam are clichés to people who deal with numbers. Still, I wanted more. Claire became the perfect tool. Not just because she was naive, but because she was ambitious. She wanted a seat at a table she didn't understand. I handed her one, forged by my manipulation. She signed things she didn't read. She trusted Liam, believed in the version of him that only existed in bed and boardrooms. I almost felt bad. Almost. They say revenge makes you feel hollow. But for me, it felt clarifying. Like rinsing your mouth with blood after pulling out a rotten tooth. I attended their emergency board meeting in silence. My name was on the LLC paperwork. Liam never noticed, never cared, when I asked to sign the founding documents for tax reasons. That carelessness cost him everything. He didn't recognize me at first when I entered the boardroom. I wasn't wearing grief anymore. I wore war. And when the motion was made to remove him from the company, I stood. I second the motion, I said. His eyes darted toward me like a man recognizing the monster under the bed too late. I didn't smile. That would have been mercy. Later that night, when the dust settled and I was finally alone, I poured a glass of wine and listened to the voicemail he left. Evie, I don't know what happened to you. This isn't the woman I married. Exactly, Liam. That woman is dead. You buried her with every lie. He showed up at my door 3 weeks later, drenched in sweat and desperation. He'd lost the company, his apartment, his dignity. Claire had disappeared, probably back to her parents' house in Ohio, where women like her pretend nothing ever happened. Evie, he croaked, eyes sunken and rimmed in red. Please. I made a mistake. I opened the door just enough to let the cold hit him. Just enough to make sure he saw I hadn't missed a night of sleep. You didn't make a mistake, I said. You made a pattern. You mistook my silence for weakness. That's on you. He dropped to his knees on the porch. Actually wept. I wanted to feel something. Pity. Satisfaction. Maybe even closure. But I felt nothing. Just the wind, whispering through the broken spaces he left behind. I'll change, he said. I'll fix it. I'll do anything. There's a kind of rage that doesn't raise its voice. It leans in close and whispers. You already did everything. You broke it. Now I get to leave the pieces. I shut the door slowly, let the click of the deadbolt echo. That was the last time I saw him. Seattle is cold, but I like it that way. The sharp air, the rain that washes everything clean. I started a new agency here, one built on precision, integrity, and a strict no-liars policy. My clients don't know what I've survived. They just see the woman who walks into the room like she owns the air. And maybe I do. The women I hire? They're like me. Brilliant. Bruised. Sharp-edged. They've been underestimated, talked over, betrayed. Now they wear lipstick like war paint. Now they don't wait to be chosen. They build their own tables. Every so often, I hear whispers that Liam's living with his sister. Looking for work. That he's sober now. That he's changed. Maybe he has. But I didn't burn everything to watch him rebuild. Revenge wasn't the goal. Reclamation was. I reclaimed my name, my future, my fire. And now, when I walk through my office, hear laughter echo off the glass, feel the strength of women who've learned to turn pain into power, I smile. Not because it's over. Because it was worth it. What did you think of her revenge? 10 years of silence, betrayal, and pretending until she turned every wound into a weapon. Was she cruel, or just finally awake? If this story gripped you, unsettled you, or made you rethink what a happy ending looks like, let me know in the comments. Would you have walked away quietly or burned it all down? Don't forget to subscribe for more stories where women stop breaking and start breaking rules. Because some flames don't destroy, they purify.